My job is really to support any students that are interested in coming into UBC engineering. So whether they are high school students, whether they are already in post-secondary and looking to transfer, no matter kind of what the timeline is, whether they're ready to apply or not, I am here to support those students. So we are here today to give a little bit more of a parent-focused presentation. So whether you're a parent, whether you're an educator, or whether you're just a student and you want to find out more information as well, we're glad to have you here tonight. We're going to present a little bit about some of those questions that I often get asked from parents and what seems to be important knowledge. I'm going to keep the presentation portion fairly short so that you have the opportunity to ask a lot of the questions that you might have as well. So I'm going to get my student staff, Michelle, to turn on her camera and mic, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Lynn, and I am a third-year biomedical engineering student, and yeah, I'm just working alongside Erin, and yep, ask me any questions.
Perfect. So Michelle's going to stick around as well, so if you do have any questions for kind of like the student experience and what that looks like, Michelle will be here to answer those questions. Now, Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about you obviously chose engineering. You know, in the last session we just had, you talked about how you were interested in math, and so that's kind of part of why you chose engineering. What about, like, what are your goals now going forward? So what do you want to do? You're in biomedical engineering. What do you want to do in the future, basically?
Well, I think since I'm in biomedical engineering, I've always had a, I guess, interest towards like the medical field, and hopefully after graduation I can get into either grad school for biomedical engineering, or I can go into medicine school, and yeah, I just think that engineering gives me such a great foundation to apply my skills for anything in the future, so I'm just really excited for what the future holds.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michelle. So Michelle will be sticking around to help answer some questions if you do have any of kind of that student experience. But I'll be continuing on with the presentation as well. Now, for any of you that have questions, I see that Allie already found that spot. So great job, Allie. If you click in the bottom right-hand corner on the purple tab, and pull up the kind of little chat bubble, you can ask any questions that you have during the presentation. So there is an open house coming up on November 7th, which is next Saturday, and I will be showing a slide about that towards the end of this presentation. That is the only open house that we host every year. So this year it's all online, and you'll be able to talk directly to departments and connect with them either in a group or one-on-one. We'll have presentations running throughout the day. There will be some pre-recorded components like lab tours and things like that that you can kind of just watch through the site, and that will be up for a few days. So any of that pre-recorded content you'll be able to access kind of before and after open house. But as far as actually connecting with departments, so we'll have professors, we'll have current students, we'll have advisors from each of our engineering programs, which I'm actually going to talk about very soon. And that is your and your students' best option to connect directly with those departments this year. So we only host them in the fall. The next one won't be until probably sometime next November. So thank you. Great question. All right. So what is it exactly that engineers do? And you might know some engineers in your life, and they might have told you about some of the things that they do, but engineers really do so many different things, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, about what is it that engineers do and how are you actually able to kind of support your students that might be interested in some of these fields. So even knowing engineers, you might know a civil engineer, you might know a mechanical engineer, but there are so many different types of engineers out there. And even within that, there's so many different fields a specific type of engineer can go into. So there is a lot of opportunity for students who want to complete an engineering degree. Now, another thing that I do get asked about a lot is, what does the engineering degree kind of mean? So at UBC, our engineering degree is the Bachelor of Applied Science. You might find at other schools that they might have something like a Bachelor of Science in Engineering or a Bachelor of Engineering. And there's really no specific naming convention for engineering degrees in Canada. But the thing to look for is that if the program is accredited. And so at UBC, all of our engineering programs are accredited as long as they have graduating students. So what I mean by that is some of our programs are so new that we haven't any students graduate from them yet. And so in that case, those programs haven't been accredited yet, but they will be as soon as we have a graduating class. So there's this whole big process that the programs have to go through to ensure that they're meeting all of the requirements that Canada says you need to be an engineer. All of our programs have successfully done that over and over and over again. They have to do it every few years. So we really have that process down. And you'll know that those programs are accredited and can be confident going into them, even if it's a new program, that it will be accredited very shortly. So the other good thing to know is that our UBC engineering degrees are recognized internationally. So there might be some requirements in order to work as a practicing engineer in other international countries, or even going province to province, you do need to get that licensing requirement. But UBC is a really well-recognized degree that no matter where you go, you're meeting those requirements and your degree will still hold up. You just need to meet the licensing requirements to be a professional engineer in some of those other places. In Canada, it's generally pretty easy as long as you have that professional engineering status, which students can get after 4 years of work experience after they graduate. That's just the process in Canada. And going province to province is fairly easy because most provinces have agreements with each other. So very open to anywhere in Canada. There's a few other requirements if you do choose to go internationally after students graduate. There's still lots of options available to students. Now, I also want to mention that engineering is available at 2 campuses. So UBC has 2 campuses, one in Vancouver, one in Kelowna, which is our UBC Okanagan campus. There are 14 different degree programs in Vancouver, and so you can see those all on your screen right here. Now, at the Vancouver campus, students do what we call a foundational first year, and they actually don't start their engineering program until second year. So the majority of our programs are 4 years long. If students add things like co-op or a minor or something like that to their degree, it may extend their degree to longer than 4 years. But generally, they do 1 foundational year and then 3 years focused in their area of study. Now, at the Okanagan campus, it's very similar. We have 4 programs offered there. It's a smaller campus in general. At the Okanagan campus, students will actually do a foundational 1.5 years, so it's a little bit different just because those courses that they take in the beginning of second year are very similar among these 4 programs, so they don't actually start specializing until about halfway through their second year of university, but it's a fairly similar process at the Vancouver campus. So just to give you that sort of introduction of the campuses we have available, those programs that are available as well. And I know that there's a few people that have just logged in the last few minutes, so just a reminder, if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, you're welcome to ask those by clicking on the purple tab in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and using the chat bubble to ask those questions. So one of the other ways that students are really able to get to experience design in our program is through our design teams. We have the most design teams out of any school in Canada. We have over 30 design teams with new ones each year. Students get to learn a little bit more about each of the engineering programs that they're going to choose from in their first year. So we have classes specifically to teach them about that. But design teams are also a great experience for students to get a feel of if this is the field that maybe they do want to work in the future. And whether that's just talking to students on design teams or whether that's joining a design team in their first year to get that hands-on experience outside of the classroom and to get an understanding of kind of what some of the things engineers do are. Oops. So the next thing I want to talk about is co-op. So co-op is our paid work experience, and this is something that is available at either campus, the Vancouver campus or the Okanagan campus, and students can get paid work experience. Now, that paid work experience generally takes the form of about 20 months of work terms. That's split up usually into a few different work terms. Most work terms are about 4 months in length. Now, students don't apply into the co-op program until the start of their second year of study. They can also apply in the start of their third year of study as well. How it will work is students will continue from the beginning of their second year without basically any sort of major break. So typically students have 4 months off in the summer. With co-op, they would be on a work term or in school every 4-month block until they graduate, essentially. As I mentioned before, it does add a year to your degree, but it can count for a year of work experience towards that professional engineering designation. So if you are just doing the straight engineering program without co-op, it's a 4-year degree, and then you're doing 4 years of work experience as an engineer in training before you get your professional engineering designation, while meeting a few other requirements like the ethics exam and things like that. However, if you do the co-op program, if your terms all meet the requirements of working under professional engineers and things like that, then that experience can actually count 1 year of work experience towards becoming a professional engineer. So it does add a year to your degree, but it can help you out kind of afterwards. So it's not really setting you back at all. Students also get paid in this position, and they get paid very, very well. So they make quite good money being on a co-op work term. So again, students can gain that industry skills. They can work in all sorts of different areas. So even if they're in mechanical engineering and they do 1 work term in a biomedical field, they can do another work term in the energy sector, they can do transportation, they can do aerospace. There's so many opportunities available to them where they can get to experience these different fields that they can work in as a student. So when they graduate, they really know what they want to go into. And so that's one of the reasons that we do recommend co-op. It's such a great experience for students to be a part of and to get that work experience before they're graduating. Now, a couple of things I want to mention are what parents often ask about of what does it like when they're working as an engineer? Will they get paid well? Will I get a job? All that sort of stuff. And so most of our students get a job within 6 months of graduating. We've done surveys of our co-op employers before, and about 90% of them have said that they would for sure hire students again once they graduate from university. So getting a job is fairly easy, and there is actually a recent study done by Stats Canada. So these are Canadian numbers. A lot of the times when we pull stats, they're American numbers, so they're maybe not always the same as what we see in Canada. But what you can see along the bottom of that bar is what the median earnings are for each of those different areas of work. And everywhere that there is a star is an engineering profession. So you can see in the top 30 paying degrees in Canada from bachelor degrees that the majority of them are engineering. This is specifically for males that they looked at. We also have a slide that shows specifically for females. So when you look at the top 30 jobs for females, it's a little bit different because we do find that women are more likely to pursue all sorts of different options. But when you're looking at what those top paying jobs are, you again see that a lot of those top paying jobs are engineering jobs. So when you're looking at jobs in Canada that you can do with a bachelor's degree, you can see that the mean pay is quite good for across Canada, and whether they are a man or a woman, that they are still making good money and getting paid well. So the other thing I do want to talk about is kind of creating leaders, and that's one thing that IC Engineering I think does a really good job with, that we see a lot of students coming out of our program and really being leaders in the community, either locally or globally. In the presentation that happened just before this, we talked a little bit about some of our alumni that we have. And so one of those is Bowen Ma, who's an MLA for North Vancouver, and she graduated a few years ago from our program and has gone on to work in government and really be a leader in that sense. So we have lots of people, tons of alumni have created their own companies, are working abroad, are working in really great positions. And so that's one thing that they're really able to get some experience on our campus to begin with. So I would say engineering has probably the best community on campus, and I don't think that's being biased just because I work for engineering, but I think that a lot of students really come together, and the engineering community is so awesome to see because they are always working together. I'm going to bring Michelle back on, and she's going to share a little bit about with some of the leadership skills that students can gain. So at UBC, we have so many different clubs. We have so many different ways for students to get involved. We already talked about those design teams. We also have our engineering undergraduate society, so you can see last year's exec in a photo here. And so this is just an opportunity for students to get involved in things like student government, student advocacy, supporting other students. Michelle, what sort of experiences have you had as part of your degree that you think have really helped you with leadership skills and develop those skills over the last few years?
UBC, there's just so many opportunities. In first year, we have a first year council, and you're able to elect and vote for your leaders that go on to. So we have to submit a ballot where we can decide who wants to be a part of the first year council. And I think I was just lucky enough to be on council as president in first year, and then also being able to create events for the students and be able to lead a group of engineers. Engineering students was really great because it made me to be a stronger leader and to be able to develop skills that I haven't had before in high school. And also we have certain leadership roles in Imagine Day, so you can be a leader after your first year and you can guide the next incoming engineering students into UBC. So there's just so much different options and opportunities, and you just learn so much. So it's really, really amazing way to learn more about leadership.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michelle. So the other thing that I do want to touch on, and I think I've mentioned it a couple already, is that engineering really sets up students to have the skills to work in any field that they're interested in. So not just engineering. We have a lot of students go on to do a medical school, to do law school, to go into any sort of other area. So sometimes they will do a master's. The great thing about engineering is that you don't have to do a master's to get that well-paying job. You can go into those jobs straight from a bachelor's degree. But engineering really sets up students, so they're learning those great analytical skills. They're learning tons of problem-solving skills. Engineering is really all about solving problems, and so if they can get through the engineering program and learn all those pieces that we teach them, they're really set up to go on into anything. We have lots of students that end up going on into finance or business areas because they're really good at working with those numbers, and they've learned how to analyze and what to pay attention to when looking at numbers. So we have a lot of people that have done that. We have obviously students that have gone into engineering jobs all over, but there's really just no limit to what an engineering degree will help you with. So students that are interested in math or science, it's really encouraging to help them explore engineering as an option because a lot of students don't get exposed to it in high school. So if you're looking at, the high school curriculum currently, some schools do offer STEM programs and do offer kind of robotics and things like that, which is really awesome to see those popping up. But the core courses they're going to be taking are their English, social studies, science, and math. And so you don't always get exposed to engineering. But I think it's really important to understand that engineering can set you up for so many different options after you complete that degree. And now you have a university degree, and the world is open to you of whatever it is that you want to do. You have those skills to kind of move on, whether that's in engineering or anything else. Now, the last thing I kind of want to mention is, why is engineering important? So we've talked a lot about engineering today, but why should you care? Why should anyone care about engineering? Why is this a good field for anyone to study? And engineering is often thought about of having really technical fields, and that is true. But engineering is also about helping people. And a lot of what engineers do is to make our world better and to help people. And in doing so, they work very closely with those people that they're trying to help. They make new devices, innovate solutions to ensure that things are getting better every day for us. They're improving our lives, improving our world, and improving everything around us. Some of the research that you might not have even thought of that applies to engineering that we're doing at UBC is earthquake research, designing safer buildings. You look at power electronics and renewable energy. And one of the things that they're even creating is looking at, so we have wireless chargers for things like our cell phones. They're looking to create wireless chargers for vehicles. So if you could just pull into your garage and there's something in the ground that just automatically starts charging your electric vehicle, that's kind of one of the little areas of research that our programs are working on. We also have a lot with the human robotics interface. We do a lot in biomedical engineering, like regenerative medicine, biomechanics and injury prevention, immune engineering. And one thing that I think is so cool is looking at clean water. It's still surprising to me how many people in Canada don't have access to clean drinking water. And we have a lot of researchers looking into those sorts of areas. So they actually go into these communities that have been under boil water advisories for years and years and years and help them get clean drinking water. We have one subset of UBC called Roseau WaterNet, and they have been able to provide clean drinking water. They've created a system that is about the size of a refrigerator that can service a few houses and provide clean drinking water to some communities in BC that have been under boil water advisories for over 30 years. Now, we're living in a pandemic. We need to wash our hands all the time right now. Can you imagine if you can't even use the water out of your tap and you have to boil that water before you shower, before you wash your hands to make it safe for you to use? That just seems so foreign to me that that is something that people not far away from us have to do. So those are just some of the little areas of research where engineers really are working to really improve the world around us. If you think about what a world without engineers look like, it would mean no transportation, it would mean no buildings, it would mean no life-saving devices, no medicine to heal us. A lot of what we have right now, we just wouldn't have anymore if there weren't any engineers. Life is pretty good right now, but engineers work every day to make our lives better than what they are right now. Engineers improve the environment, our technology, and our medicine. They build solutions to solve our problems and to make the world a better place. So that's what engineers do, and that's why engineering is so important. So if you have a student that is interested in science or math, we really encourage you to help them explore the opportunities that engineering might have for them. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you do have any questions, you're welcome to contact us at any time. You should have received my email reminding you about the session, so you can always reply to that as well. But thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. We're so glad that you joined us today.